When deciding what to declutter versus what to keep in our homes, there's one question that really helps me get to the root of that threshold and decide which side I need to be on. Do I need to keep it or do I need to get rid of it? And that question is, what would my life look like without this item? And sitting with the answer and being honest, what would my life look like without this item? And when it comes to managing the kids' stuff in the house, like toys and squishmallows and books and dog toys and all the things that I keep track of in our home on a hourly basis some days, asking that question, what would life be like without this item? It helps me decide, like, wait, I don't really need this. This can be donated. This can be trashed. This can be repurposed. This can be sold or given away. One of the advantages of simple living and minimalism and decluttering and just getting rid of stuff is that you begin to recognize which items in your home have value and purpose, and which items start to present as clutter, as things that you're taking care of because you own them, but not things that you want to take care of anymore. And when that definition of clutter in your home becomes more present and easier to recognize, it gets a little bit easier to live with less, to own less, to want less, and to simplify. In this video today, I'm sharing with you just parts of a weekday morning that I filmed, and my 7-year-old was already awake with me. And so he was just helping reset the house from the day prior. Sometimes we do it in the evening, sometimes we do it the next morning. It just sort of depends on our schedule and our energy level and what I ask of my family, because I'm really kind of the driver behind getting that kind of thing done. The kids would sit around all day and not help clean up if I let them. But that's just not the vibe we have in our house. So this particular morning I'm sharing with you, we were just kind of putting stuff where it belongs. That's all we were really trying to set a goal for, was just putting things back where they belong from the day prior. And by the way, my name is Erica Lucas. I'm really glad you're here today in this video. I often share videos about minimalism, decluttering, and simple living. And what that big benefit that I just mentioned, figuring out the value of what you own and the value in keeping it in your home versus the recognition of clutter and getting rid of it and decluttering it from your life. That's number 3 on a list of 15 simple living advantages or decluttering advantages that I wrote in a blog post. I will link that for you below. But in this particular morning, I wanted to share with you, I just had all these systems that I was putting in place and using in my home in the morning, putting toys where they belong. They have a home in my house, a category. They have a home in our family room, and they have a home in the kids' bedroom. And my laundry system each day is just a list of everything that I predetermined to wash and dry that day. And this is just me putting things away to get ready for whatever's on that list for the day. And I have a laundry day that's for kitchen, that's kitchen towels, aprons. It falls on a day with other things, but this is just me putting it away so that I can go and do the next part of the laundry system that I have in place. And my 7-year-old is great at helping me with these projects, because everything has a place. And sometimes you have new things that come into your life and hobbies or just stuff that comes home with birthdays or gets introduced with holidays and has to find a new home. And I think one of the biggest questions you can ask yourself is, what category does this item belong in? Is it toys, games? Is it a seasonal clothing? Is it seasonal decor in your home that you want to keep? Identifying a category can help you determine where you want to keep it and organize it. When I film mornings like these, I always am reminded that it's just stuff and it has a home, and sometimes I just need to name the home. And if I can't easily decide where it's going to live in my house, I have to ask myself that question that I shared with you in the beginning of this video. What would my life look like without this item? And picturing that can really help me make that decision of letting go of something, of decluttering it from our lives. The benefits of reducing the number of things that we own and simplifying how we keep our homes is worth the effort it takes to declutter and to make these kinds of decisions. When I first started thinking about my home in this way, what does my life look like without this item? I had watched YouTube videos about minimalism decluttering. I'd read blogs. I read books. Even after all of that information, I was still paralyzed about the decision-making side of letting go of something. There were too many decisions about individual items, and there was too much stuff to even see myself dealing with it, so I did nothing. And the problem kept getting worse. And I had obstructive, problem level clutter in our home 4.5 years ago, to the point that we didn't even use rooms and had exits blocked. There was a safety element that I really was facing and I had to deal with. And now on this side, having gotten rid of so much, it's easier now to make these decisions, but I definitely still get paralyzed by clutter because new stuff comes into our life. I mean, this morning that I'm filming with you, we were preparing for our snowboarding trip. So I had new clothes so that the kids had layers. I had new snow jackets, because the snow jackets that they had actually weren't even waterproof. They were just warm coats for prior winter years. And now I have helmets and goggles and wrist guards and snowboarding mittens for all 3 kids. And then all of my husband's stuff. My husband's hobby was here before the children, so he had all of his old snowboarding stuff that we dug out. And so now I have all this new stuff in our house. And I had to think about it as its own category and how I was going to keep it. So we, through the years, have maintained some really great empty bins that once we've emptied it and got rid of stuff, we hung onto the bins. And these black and yellow industrial bins were just the right answer to store this stuff that I was purchasing throughout the last couple months to get ready for this new hobby in our lives. And so I was packing for a trip and decided to just use these bins for the year. But when you have new stuff coming in and you have to think about how to organize it, how to keep it, how to manage it, if it's something you want, and what does my life look like without this stuff? Well, right now, it means that I am renting all of those things every day we go snowboarding. And from a cost perspective, we decided it was better that they had their own helmets and goggles and mittens and wrist guards, and that we would rent the boards, bindings, and boots for now. And that meant I needed a place to keep and organize all this stuff. It didn't mean that something had to be removed in order to store it. The stuff that's in my hand right now are their base layers of merino wool and their mid layer of fleece, and then they put their snow pants and snow coats on top of that. So the 1 in, 1 out rule of minimalism, where if something comes into your home, you remove something to make space. So you're always maintaining a lesser amount. That's a nice maintenance way of doing something. Maybe it applies great for like sweaters or boots or something like that. But from this perspective, there was nothing I could remove from our home to introduce this new hobby of my children, that they go snowboarding with their dad. So I also manage the bottom of the bunny hill for lessons, and as they come down the hill on the beginner side, I'm there. So I needed a nice new snow coat. I already had snow pants. I also needed nice snow boots. Mine were like ankles that I would just wear in the backyard on a snow day, so I needed new boots. Just stuff that comes into our lives that we need that's new. And asking myself that question, what would my life look like without this item, just meant that we would rent everything. And since we decided not to do that, that meant I needed to make space in our home to keep the stuff as the kids start on their snowboarding adventure, and we'll put it away in the summertime and break it back out in the winter. I hope you are doing well. I really appreciate you spending time with me today in this video. And I got to go catch kids at the bottom of the slope. And I will leave a link to the blog post I mentioned, as well as a link here to the latest video. Hope you're doing well, and see you next time.